Yeah, I'm filming a special. So, you know how to switch up the suit. Had to get all black, you feel me? Alright, I'll play back.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
Welcome, viewers, to a special installment of The Critic. This time, we're looking at a film directed by Jordan Peele, a retelling of the famous, mysterious story of Candyman. Do I even have to say it at this point? Spoiler warning, right now. So if you haven't seen the film, make sure to leave and come back later. And with all that being said, let's get to the review. The story takes place in 1977, where a boy is seen taking out laundry, and the setting is Chicago's Cabrini Green. Now, walking to and in the laundromat, he notices a peculiarly big hole in the wall, but doesn't pay any mind to it. After placing said laundry, the boy walks back to the room the hole was in and notices a piece of candy on the ground, then looks back up at the hole and notices a man with a hook for a hand and a smile on his face reaching out a handful of candy. You probably can guess, the boy was shocked and screamed with fear after getting a visit from Sherman Fields, aka the Candyman. Now for a little backstory, Sherman Fields would go around the project handing candy to boys and girls, and there was no problem. Until one Halloween, where a razor blade was found in a little white girl's candy. So he was wanted by the police. And coincidentally, there were two police in their cop car watching the boy going into the laundromat. So once they heard the scream, they quickly rushed in and killed him right on the spot. It turns out that after that incident, more razor blades started appearing in candy. So Sherman's was incident, thus starting the theory, if you say Candyman 5 times in a mirror, he will appear in your reflection and kill you. Fast forwarding 40 years in the future, in 2019, we are introduced to Anthony McCoy, a struggling visual artist who seems to have a block and can't think of anything new to draw. So, after finding a little bit of information, he decides to take a trip to the now abandoned Cabrini Fields, which is weirdly close to him, and while taking pictures, he is stung in the hand by the bee in the right hand, which is important later. Now, while in the actual projects, he is met by a man called William Burke. Both of them take a trip to the local laundromat, and it turns out he was the boy who met Candyman and explains to him the entire story. Anthony, now obsessed, spends most of his time creating new artwork for a gallery show coming up, and it turns out the director happens to be his girlfriend. One thing I found interesting is that her father was also an artist, and when she was a little girl, she saw her own father jump out a window committing suicide. And I just find it kind of weird that you take the profession of the same thing that killed your father. Seems a little strange. Now, throughout the city, people keep dying back to back after saying Candyman 5 times in their mirrors, and most of them have met with Anthony, who seems to have gone crazy, and with every mirror he looks in, a figure that looks like Sherman stares back at him. To find some help, he goes back to William Burke, and he explains that there has been multiple Candyman throughout history, going back all the way to the 1800s. And you're probably wondering, how does this story end? Well, turns out that Anthony McCoy is the baby who was almost killed by the Candyman, and Helen Lyle, which is a character that was prominent in the first film released in 1992, had cared for the baby and saved him from the burning fire, and we thought that the Candyman was dead. And she also returned him back to Anthony's mother, which he had all figured this out from after visiting William Burke. But the cycle continues. You see, his girlfriend tried looking for Anthony McCoy, and it turns out that William Burke is almost crazy about finding the next person to be Candyman, and Anthony is sitting in a church while she is tied up, and he's the one that sticks a hook in Anthony's right hand, who seems to have some sort of like rash, and it was like dying off, and he becomes the new Candyman. And he also is killed by the girlfriend by stabbing him in the eye, and the police come in and they end up shooting Anthony, and then the girlfriend is put into a police car, but then looks in the mirror and says Candyman, and Anthony ends up killing all the officers, and then she ends up running away, but then looks in a fence at around a grassy area and turns out that there's a figure of Sherman looking back at her. After watching the film, I try to compare both movies from the 1992 version to the 2021 version, and after finding a little bit of research, I found out that the Candyman being summoned through the mirror is actually a reference to serial killers hiding in people's medicine cabinets. It's weird, huh? So, the moment you've been waiting for, here is my final rating of the movie. And I give it a 4.5 out of 10, which is the highest ranked movie that I have reviewed yet. And I'd say it's more suspenseful than scary. You just have to really watch the movie. And I've heard that some people find it boring. With that being said, it is the end of the horror-themed movie review. What will I critique next? You'll just have to wait and see. And a happy Halloween to all.
Hop inside an Audi, then I did the dash. Shawty know I only care about the cash. Big dance, big sticks, big rash. She asked me how I got it, said I got it like that. I get it when I wanna, smoking marijuana. Keep it hotter than a sauna, smoking till the sun up. They asked me if I have bands, I said bring your funds up. They texted me to a challenge, and they didn't show up.